oh boy, the hidden stuff just keeps on coming. Since the previous two leaks, a new SteamDB profile has mysteriously appeared, and while I've seen some people suggest that it's just a part of the Wood Elf DLC, that actually doesn't make any sense. There were already 3 Wood Elf entries in there representing the DLC itself, the free LC hero, and the additional lord for those who already have the Wood Elves faction. So those are already covered already. And there's also the bizarre timing of it. The upcoming Wood Elf stuff has been on Steam for 4 months already, but this new edition's only a week old. So what exactly are we looking at here? Well, spoiler alert for the rest of the video, we have no idea because this is so unusual. It's almost assuredly not the Beastmen nor any other future Lord pack. And how do we know this? Is it because of my amazing psychic powers? No, I'm saving those powers for a future lottery ticket win. We know this because it doesn't match previous packs. When a Lord pack comes, you end up with a minimum of 2 entries, one for the DLC, one for the free LC, and sometimes even 3 or 4 entries that all get created all at the same point. So, case in point being the Wood Elves. 3 of their packages were all made around the same time, as they were all started on the same time. But if you want a more proven example, we can go back to the previous DLC, the Warden and the Paunch, which started all its entries around the end of May, which is something we're going to touch upon later in the end of the video, so remember that date. Write it down like a post-it note or something. Anyways, there wasn't an entry there that started considerably earlier or later than anything else, with the biggest gap only being about a week, but certainly not 4 months spread apart from each other. So unless the Beastman pack stands to be the smallest package in Warhammer's history, it isn't that one. Maybe it's something else regarding the Wood Elves? Well, again, that strikes me as kind of unlikely given the fact that the other Wood Elf entries have all been being worked on for 4 months already. It would be completely unlike any other Lord pack in the entire series to have such a late addition to a single pack. And besides that, as we said at the start of the video, the Wood Elf pack seems to have everything it's going to have already in the database. I know the easy joke is to say CA doesn't test what they add to the game, but the Wood Elves are only about a month or so out, give or take. So for CA to have just started the coding for something coming out so soon would be utterly ludicrous to think of. So I mean, realistically, this leaves us with 2 options. If the database gets updated with more additions in the next few days, well then we'll know that it is a reference to the Beastmen rework. Though again, it would be unusual that it took well over a week for the rest of the pack to even be added to the database. The more realistic option is, this is one of the various free LC packs that CA does throughout the year. We've already had the Blood for the Blood God pack, but there's also sometimes the Make War Not Love event that SEGA puts on every once in a while, and the Feast Egg update. Make War Not Love was a Valentine's update for the first few years that awesomely hit every one of SEGA's titles, not just the CA ran ones. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened in the last 2 years, though CA does keep saying it isn't cancelled, it's just that it's going to be ran, just that it wasn't going to be ran those last 2 years. Despite that though, this probably isn't what we're looking at here, as that would give the free LC a whopping 5-month development window all into itself, which, if we're being honest, seems a bit optimistic for free LC. But Sega, if you're watching, for the love of God, bring this back. I miss getting simultaneous updates to Total Warhammer and Endless Space. It was the greatest. The next option is also kind of a weird one, Feast Egg. Normally these come out towards the end of the year, or even the start of next year, and are always exclusive to Total War. As an interesting aside, last year's Feast Egg actually focused on adding new skills, with the Beastmen and the Wood Elves being the first and second things mentioned in the update respectively. Doesn't matter, I just thought that was a fairly interesting coincidence. But anyways, the timing of this also lines up beautifully with the timeline, as a 3 to 4 month window puts it perfectly in sync to the window of Feast Egg, and that seems more appropriate for a free LC. But the reason I list this as a peculiar or perhaps unlikely option is that Feast Egg has historically been a patch, not a content drop. And patches don't result in a new SteamDB entry, they're simply an update to the core Total Warhammer 2 entry. So even if we count that last patch, and even then, that's only occurred less than half the years Total Warhammer has been out as a thing, we have something that's inconsistent that has never had a SteamDB entry associated with it, so to say that it's a Feast Egg update also strikes me as unlikely. So just what the hell are we looking at here? Well, as I said in the spoiler at the start of this video, we really don't have a damned clue, and that's what's so interesting about it. It could potentially be the first entry for the Beastmen Lord pack, but that's strangely isolated if so. It could potentially be the 4th entry for an additional component of the Wood Elves pack, but then it's strangely late if so. It could be a completely isolated free LC, but then it's strangely random in its timing if so. It could be so many things, and that's what's super interesting about it. It doesn't seem to fit anywhere. The only other time we've had something like this that I can recall was with the Gotrek and Felix editions, which weren't expected and they didn't launch alongside anything else. They were a singular entry added to the database all on its own. Perhaps it's something small like that over again? Maybe like a Heroes pack, but with characters like Oxoatl, Curran Darkhand, and Scab Bloodtail? Who knows? I mean, I guess CA knows, but outside of them, really, who knows? The only other option I'd considered is that perhaps we're looking at another beta branch. It has been a long while since Steam's done one of these, or not Steam, CA I should say, has done one of these. But again, that also kind of strikes me as odd because we haven't seen any indications that they're even looking at doing another one of those. One last thing though, earlier in this video I told you to remember a time period, late May. For those of you playing at home, late May was when the Greenskins updates from the Grom and the Paunch, Imrik, the Black Orc Big Boss, and the Catchweb Spider Shrine were all added to the database. But it's also when the next 3 database entries for the Wood Elves were added to the database. Again, this is pretty unusual. While development is almost assuredly in progress for the next DLC, even before the current one or the announced one has launched, they're normally still offset by about 4 or 5 months. The fact that the Wood Elves updates have been in the database just as long as the Greenskins has is super unusual. As I said in a previous video, I don't think this means that the Wood Elves have been getting coding or anything like that longer than the Greenskins or anything like that. But I think it just goes to show you just how far out CA had been planning this Wood Elf update, which I cannot help but consider to be a good sign. Anyways, that's it for this week though, so what do you think it is? Did I miss something super glaringly obvious? Do you think one of the things I dismissed earlier in the video has better odds than I gave it? As always, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.